All right, welcome to the Good Rookie Show. My name's Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all. And we are good
That's
rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's the Good Rookie Show.
Yep, yep.
Yep, yep. What's going on, everybody? As you know, we're your hosts coming live and direct from Toronto, Canada. And we're so excited to have you guys join us again for another week of the Good Rookie Show. So, this week, the topics are quite interesting and also kind of nostalgic as well. So, Fahim, what we got going on for our first topic? Because a lot has happened this week.
So, uh, I guess it's going to see on where one's perspective is. It's been, I guess, a lot of retirement talk, end of the season. But
Wow.
LeBron James, uh, first of all, year 1920, uh, after the loss to the Nuggets, believe it or not, was speaking about, or actually he didn't technically speak about it. It's been kind of alluded to possibly him retiring at the end of the season. Um, I don't buy it very much. Actually, I don't buy it at all. But let's see where your head's at. What do you say? What do you think, Nelly J?
In regards to what?
LeBron James and his possible retirement?
Yeah, like, listen, man, I think LeBron spoke from a distraught state. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, think about this, right? He's played so many years in the NBA, right? Like, he's accomplished so much, but there's only so much you can take when you're a high level competitor from when you started in the league as a rookie. And to be swept, Raptor fans, we know what that feels like. We've been there. And so, you know what, LeBron, welcome to our world. Okay. Welcome to how it feels to be a loser. Okay. Welcome to how it feels to be swept. It ain't a fun, it's not a fun sight, right? You feel like you failed, you feel all these different things. But, it's crazy how no one asked him, Fahim, do you think you failed? You know what I'm saying? Did you fail this season? Right? Don't ask him that
Mm-hmm.
dumbass question because at the end of the day, LeBron, he put his heart out there on the floor. And, at the end of the day, the better team won. You know what I'm saying? Like the bigger, stronger, most versatile, they won, right? They have an elite guard, an elite center, MVP back to back. Like they're the first seed in the Western Conference. That was supposed to happen, right? Right. And so when you're a 7 seed and you get swept, yes, it's humbling, but I think his comments, like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to do about basketball, that's from the shot state. Because there's no way he actually feels that way when you played 20 years and you were like, the wash king and all the stuff he was talking about, all season and stuff. Like, I think it's just a moment of like, him really feeling down and feeling sad and questioning it. I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to question what you want to do next. I think it's healthy to always not always, like say, what do I want to do? Am I really having fun here? Right? It could be LA, it could be the Lakers, it could be the team, it could be himself, right? And I think that was a very human response to make. Like, I don't know, right? Like we saw Aaron Rodgers have the same thing. He went through that same thing. Tom Brady, a lot of the older greats, as they get older, every year it's a question mark, right? Um, so Carmelo Anthony, his fellow draftee, or what do you call those, draft class? His
Draft
fellow
class, yeah.
guy, like he retired this season, right? Playing basketball for that long, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like Fahim, could you work at a job for 20 years straight, the same company for 20 years straight? You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't happen in modern day, like workforce. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's healthy. I think it's great. I think, as fans, we should give LeBron the space that he wants. Let him figure his life out. Because at the end of the day, and I said it very clear before the playoffs, I said whatever LeBron does not change the fact that he's one of the greatest players to play, right? Basketball. One of the. So like if he gets swept, if he wins, what he did for basketball as a whole, for players, for the culture, that's not going to change anything for me, right? So yeah, I thought it was a humane response, and I wasn't surprised. I would feel like trash too if I got swept in front of the world. You know what I'm saying? And like in that way, right? I was up 10, 15 points and then lose in the fourth quarter, just like that. It happened to
Mhm.
Giannis. We saw Kevin Durant lose. We saw all the top players lose in the playoffs for him. All the ones people have in the top five, all of them lost. So now we have left, Jokic and Jamal Murray. Big up Kitchener. And,
Woo!
now we're going to see what's next on the Eastern Conference. Right now,
Mhm.
it is 3-1, guys. So we're recording when it's 3-1 for Miami. So by the time this comes out, either Miami has closed off the series or Boston makes a historic comeback and it's a 3-3 and we're like having a game 7, which is crazy to think about that. So yeah, I'm here for it for him. I'm really here for it.
So with LeBron, that's just not the way this is ending. Like I did hear that they're doing a documentary, much like they did with the Michael Jordan doc. And I mean, this just feels like another, I don't want to say another chapter because he's at the end of his book, but I don't know. Imagine this: LeBron James retires after getting swept. Like, does that really even sound
I
realistic?
mean,
Like,
but what's better? I mean, Kobe Bryant retired, but he dropped 40 points. How much points did he drop in that last game for him? He
was
had
it
a phenomenal
61 or
game.
something? I think yeah,
No,
61.
it,
Was
it
it?
wasn't
No,
60. It wasn't in the 60s. His last, no.
Are you
LeBron, no.
sure?
It wasn't in
No,
the
no,
60s.
not
No, it
LeBron.
was
You
in the
said Kobe,
40s.
right?
No, I said LeBron
Oh,
James. How much points did he score in that last
LeBron.
game?
Yeah, I think LeBron had 40 at 40
Yeah,
something.
exactly. So like, it's not like he played bad. Like getting swept, that's a team thing, right? But he
Mm,
had a great. He played really. I think he played great. He had 40 points, 4 for 7 from three. Okay, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals.
yeah, just shy of a triple double. So like, yeah,
So
it's
like, yeah, like
yeah.
why? Like that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, Kobe's last year, what he barely played. His team was trash. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
MJ's team was trash. Like a lot of greats for him, they get old and they can't expect to win, right? MJ's last dance wasn't his last game he played basketball. It was the last game he played with the Chicago Bulls, right? So if they're gonna do a last dance with LeBron, it should have been during the Cleveland run. I think that's a more interesting conversation, being down, 3-1, coming back, than
Yeah,
now.
right.
Like I feel like they missed the mark, to be honest. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like,
Well,
but
yeah.
nonetheless, I just think that, LeBron, like no, like Kareem, Magic, all Shaq, no one's defined by their last season in the NBA. You know,
Well, of course, right,
right? So
right.
that's why I just feel like at the end of the day, there's so many edits they can make. And he had a great game. They didn't win, but he's a special player. He's one of the, like, what he did is phenomenal. Man's 38. You know what I'm saying? Man is 38. Has been married since 2013, was never in any type of drama, gossip, nothing. Like this man has had the cleanest career as a top player in this league, and especially on social media for him, era. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He's
So
a
do you think he's
billionaire.
gonna
Like, he ain't gotta prove shit to nobody. This guy is good. He's good.
do you think he's gonna play with Bronny? Bronny's going to USC.
Yeah.
He's going to college, do you probably, I'm assuming, a one and done situation.
Nah,
Are you
he needs a couple more years. He won't be a one and done.
how many years LeBron can wait for Bronny then?
But I
Because
mean, that's something he said. But LeBron can always retire and come back, right? Or he can play in
yeah,
coach
true.
50 years. Plus, LeBron has to get surgery done. So with the surgery being done, he probably is. But this is the thing, right? Bronny being one and done guys, like, are guys that were elite for him, or
Yeah.
are really, really tall, really, really skilled in high school, right? I I've watched Bronny. I don't see that in him. I think, and also, to be honest, I don't know what he will be like in college. That's why for people to say he's one and done, I'm not even like we're so far out. We have to see how he does in college before we even can proclaim that can happen. But who knows, right? He could surprise us. He could develop this summer and get bigger, grow taller. I don't know, right? But he can develop and come in college and tear it up. I don't know, but he's not at a place where I'm like, what? But some people think he's a one and done. I'm on the opposite, and I think he may need a couple years to develop a little bit more, because what Bronny does for him, a lot of guys can do right now in basketball. Like, his skill isn't anything that's like, oh my gosh, no one can do that, right? So for him to come in the NBA, it takes someone's job. And I don't think right now he could take someone's job in the NBA. Therefore, he needs to kind of get a little bit better, work on a few things, and let's see, right? Listen, if Barney can have like an elite jump shot from three, like we're a shooting league. If he can somehow get a shot that is out of this world for him, like that's like just wet, and does that in college, then yeah, I'm there. But he has to develop that shot this summer for me, to think that he's a one and done guy. So, yeah.
So do you think he's going to play with LeBron then?
I don't know. I mean, LeBron's Faheem. If that was something that LeBron really wanted to do, then he wouldn't have said what he said yesterday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Feel me?
Right.
Like if that's something that was really, really pressing, then he wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have said that. That's why I feel like, he may want to do that, but I don't think that's a priority. Maybe his sanity is a priority, right? And so, like, I really don't know. But what I do know is that Isaiah Collier, who is he'll be starting over Bronny on that USC team. And yeah, that's all I know. So that's all I know for now. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
What about Melo? So Carmelo's retired after the same amount of seasons. I'll be honest. I thought so. When I heard Melo was retiring, I was like, oh, he didn't retire. Didn't play this season, right? So I thought he retired slowly. I'm surprised. He was
trying to get a roster spot, but no one.
Really? Wow. Oh man. So yeah, I thought he'd retired already, but I guess they're gonna make it official. Like, he's retiring, and yeah, man, that's another legend. He might go down kind of more like a Charles Barkley, just somebody who's didn't really have a ring, but had a lot of impact on the game. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, at least Charles Barkley made it to the finals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think Charles Barkley overall career is like, again, right? Look, Carmelo, top 10 scoring and all that stuff. Like, he had that.
He doesn't have an MVP though, does he?
No.
Melo?
No,
right.
No.
And Barkley had an MVP. So yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, he's not.
Barkley's definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not, but at his peak, he averaged 28 points. Sorry, 28.9. So 28.7. He did that. He averaged 28 1, 2, 3 times. He, went to Denver, we went to the Knicks. And then after 2017, it was like OKC, then Houston, then Portland for 2 years, right? And then Lakers last season, right? One thing I will give Carmelo a lot of props for, even in his latter years, he was playing more games than people like Kawhi and Paul George. He played 69 games the last 2 seasons that he was in the league, and then 58 games with Portland before he got hurt at Houston. Before that, 78, 74, 72. Like, he was playing a lot of games, a lot of games. I really respect that. His numbers aren't like, oh, I did this, with 50, games a year, like some of these players that we see now. He did these numbers with like playing a lot of games. And so I really respect Carmelo because he never he wasn't taking no days off, right? So that's big up. I think he had 3 seasons of 77 games, dog. 77, right? Your best player probably hasn't played 77 games in a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I big up to him a lot. So he's really, like averaging 13 points. I'm shocked, to your point, teams didn't pick him up in the offseason. But what he was doing for the Lakers, why not get someone that's younger that can average 13 points off the bench, right? That's a long-term investment than getting someone that's a bit older on his latter years. So, but yeah, some teams could have used him. Like, we see Kevin Love being used still, and he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing like older vets just having a big impact on teams. But I guess Carmelo, and this is when I would say, like, when you're not known to play defense or be a good defender, that can really be a problem as you get older in the league, because you have to defend, right? That's basic. So if you want to have a long career in the NBA, like, only being good for one thing or one side is okay. But long term, like, I mean, again, he played for a long season, so it doesn't really matter. But like, Like I think if he had some type of defense for him, I think he would have probably gotten a job. But
So if you're good,
no, no, no. Cause think about like the PJ Tuckers and these guys who aren't really good offensive players, but they're really good defenders or locker room guys, right? And Carmelo, I don't know what he was like in the locker room. I've never heard people say, "Oh, he was a great guy in the locker room." In his latter years, I know Dame and him had a good relationship and stuff like that. But I
yeah,
mean, people thought he was blackballed. And I remember we spoke, I think our very first episode for him was about Carmelo. Remember being blackballed. And we spoke about like, why doesn't teams want him? Remember that season? We're like, yo, why does no one want to hire this guy? Like, what
mm-hmm.
has he done or what did he do for teams to not want to pick him up? Right. And that was a whole back and out. So, yo,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So if you're Carmelo, which team do you think? If he's retired, if you had to choose one team in the Hall of Fame for a jersey for him, what would it be? Denver or
Well,
New York?
I would say, I mean, his best years were in Denver. Like he
Yeah,
averaged more
I
points in
agree.
Denver. Yeah. Denver, I think would be it. Yeah.
But
But
the
the
funny
issue
thing,
is that his jersey number is the same as Jokic. How about
mm,
you though? What do you think? What do you think?
yeah, I'm with you. I do think Denver is his best years, but maybe because we're talking about a tale of two different franchises. We're talking like the
Mhm.
Knicks, prime time, big stage. We're talking the Nuggets, you know, backdoor, small stage. I definitely think that his best years are in Denver, but I think history might remember him as a Knick for some reason, just because outside of maybe there's certain like Patrick Ewing of our generation, Patrick Ewing, he represented the Knicks. Since Patrick Ewing, there's been really no like real face of the franchise. He's like been their biggest face of the franchise, even though they didn't win anything
Really,
under his.
since you know what?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like since Ewing, which was a long time ago, Carmelo probably was the biggest, like in terms of player that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like in terms of like popularity and all that stuff. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
thinking about like, his longest postseason was with Denver, right? Um, so um, but yeah, I mean the Knicks is the number one franchise wealthiest because of their location and I mean they have more NBA basketball fans there than any other city, right? But with Jokic having the same number as him, I mean, can they retire two jerseys with the same number? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait
Yeah.
and find out.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
I mean, I definitely want to send some positive vibes to LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, man, I get it. You got swept. It's hard to like go through it. You know what I mean? A lot of players have gotten swept before. Not the first, won't be the last. So, just hopefully he figures out what he wants to do for himself and what's best for him because he ain't gotta prove shit like crap to any of us as fans. So I'll support whatever he decides to do.
Right on. I'm with you. All right, Nelly J. You want to go to for the culture?
Yeah, for the culture. We like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today, we like to highlight individuals that are trying to make some big moves for him. So, as we know, it's not stamped, it's not official, but we want to bring to light the impact of what these folks are doing that could potentially uh, change the culture of hockey. So the Ottawa Senators, right? And for those who don't know, Ottawa is the capital of Canada. Ottawa
Not
is
Toronto.
located, pardon me?
Said not Toronto, as people would think.
Oh,
Not people
yeah.
think Toronto is right. You're like, anyways.
It's not Toronto, y'all. It's Ottawa. But Ottawa and Toronto are in the same province, which is Ontario. Okay, I know we got a lot of Americans that listen as well. So we want to make sure we kind of break that down. So their NHL team called the Ottawa Senators, their owner passed away. And since his passing, they've now folks are entering bids to potentially buy the team. So at first, Snoop Dogg, you know, big push right now, and Nico Sparks, they both have a bid. They were both on the same bid to buy the Ottawa Senators. And if you've seen the Snoop Dogg quotes about how he thinks he wants people looking like us to go into the sport of hockey and feel that they can be successful in hockey. So I love that messaging as well because I think it's important. the colored hockey league was a big thing that helped and impacted the NHL for them to become who they are today. So I love that he did mention that. But we have another icon, a Canadian icon, man from Jamaica, who is now joining the bid to buy the Ottawa Senators for him, and that is Donovan Bailey. So he is the last 100-meter sprinter that's Canadian to ever win the gold medal for 100 meters, right?
Wow.
We had a for the culture for our boy Andre
DeGrasse.
DeGrasse, and yeah, like it was really dope. So now looking at this bid for him, potentially having a black owned NHL team, right? Donovan is now 55. Bailey's now 55. And since that 1990, I think the 96 Summer Olympics, but he won the 100 meters and 4x1. He now wants to help, and again, being Canadian, help them, be able to kind of win this bid. Now, this team for him is estimated that it could be sold for more than 1 billion, right? 1 billion. And so there was a deadline to submit the purchase, which was Monday. So that Monday was actually, it was this past Monday that just passed. So that was, what's today's date? The 19th. So Monday was the last day to put in the bid. He joins them. And now we have to wait and see for him if this black led bid can actually purchase NHL team. You know what I'm saying? So Faheem, what's your thoughts on the fact that we're seeing ownership groups, black led, looking to now be a part of the NHL? How much of an impact could this be for him for that league? You got it.
First, shout out to Kevin Weeks, who's really part of just bringing diversity to the league. He's been a very early adapter to that. So I want to shout him out. He's so the thoughts of having minorities in. It's funny how the conversation changed. It used to be, okay, well, how about minorities in our front office in the NHL, and that just recently happened. To have ownership is something, I'll be honest, it hasn't crossed my mind. It really, now seeing the possibility of it, it's kind of makes me think, well, why didn't I think this could be something that could be happening a while back? It's a great look for the league, especially after the racial issues that they've been having amongst players, and just the look that the league's been having over the last maybe few years. To have a black-led ownership group, wow, that can just do wonders, not just for hockey in the whole. Wow, that's big. That's really big. I hope they can get this landed. I hope they can.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? I think it's a good look for the NHL, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many black owned or black led now? Because to own a team outright by yourself is kind of crazy, but a black led ownership group do we have in pro sports, in the major league sports in North America, right? We can count them on our hands, right? To black owned or black led. So I just think this is a very good look for them. I think hockey needs it, because no offense to hockey fans, a lot of y'all are old and baby boomers, and
well, you can't say that fans are old. Maybe the decision makers might be old.
No, we can say that, because when we had a producer on the show, I won't say her name, but if you know, you know, Faheem, remember her? She's on the show. She produced a lot of hockey content, and she even said, based on her data, that the NHL fans are old, like in terms of the other fan bases, right? The issue is that there's not really any type of like coolness. Like, kids don't think it's cool because the players aren't really on social media. They don't look like them, like hip hop artists are wrapping up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be part of the culture, and the leagues that are part of the culture have a lot of revenue in terms of like building incremental fan bases. Sport leagues like MLB, NHL, whose fan base majority looks like not like us, Faheem, they're struggling to build or add incremental fans, right? It's a struggle thing. And so that's why I'm saying, like, this is a good look for them. I believe so. And I think influencers like Snoop Dogg, like listen, everyone loves Snoop Dogg from all creed, all cultures, all ethnic backgrounds. And so I just think he's a great name. Sparks, he's a leader in tech. That man, guys, you don't know who he is? Listen, he's actually an entrepreneur and investor. And so stuff that he's done, he's the CTO of Pixel Lime, and that's like a media production type tech company. And their clients for him are Universal Studios, the United States Postal Service, Angry Birds gaming franchise, and more. So he has over 15 years in tech sectors, AI, blockchain technology, you name it, and media. So a lot of influential people, and they met with the First Nations as well, because they're going to have a potential stake in the
That's a
purchase,
great that's
right?
a great angle.
And that was a part of a reconciliation in action, because there was an outstanding title claim filed in 2016 that encompassed the central Ottawa, including like certain areas there where the NHL arena could be built. So yeah, I'm happy that the First Nations will also be a part. And I think it's important to include them, because if you're going to build on a land that they should have had, or owned, or whatever the case may be, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think they should obviously make revenue off of that team, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's really, really cool, and I think it's great. Now, quick, Faheem, us being Canadian, Faheem, Ottawa isn't really the most non-racist city. I'll say it like that. So how do you think people in Ottawa are feeling about having their hockey team? Those how do you think? Not all, of course, but some of the white fans that we know that do not that are racist. Let's be frank. How do you think they're going to feel about this being a black-led team in hockey? Because we've heard of hockey players, especially black hockey players, being talk about how they've had to get security, right? Um, Black players having banana peels and being called very big racial slurs at games, right? Even in Toronto, we've heard of, fans that are people of color at these games having to deal with some racial slurs as well. So Fahim, my thing is that do you think the NHL fans, right? Not all, but some of them may fight against it. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think they'll fight against it. I think it would be more of a closet thing where they might not be happy about it. But how things are now, I don't know if they're gonna like go to social media and make a big stink about it. It just be very if that were to happen, it'd just be very hard to ignore the fact that um, something like that is kind of going in the same direction that I think we are as a whole society. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't even believe myself that a black-led ownership group in the NHL hockey has never crossed my mind before, and it really, it should. It should have before. I feel, So maybe it's one of those you can't, until they've actually made the proposal possible. Is that where I'm saying, okay? So I think for those people, put it this way, me being black and it not crossed my mind, I know for sure it hasn't crossed their mind. One, do I think they'd be happy with it crossing their mind? Um, no, but I think if it were to happen, I don't think it'd be protest.
I do think, if they win this bid, for those who don't know, four different groups put in a bid, okay, for this team. So that is going to be interesting. And, the folks that are part of Nico Sparks' Snoop Dogg bid, they're not all black people, right? So we have Russell Peters, we have Ravinder Minhas, Arlene Dickinson, Robert Herjavec. So we have other folks a part of that group that are putting in the bid, right? Um, so
So all those names are
yeah,
part of the same group because that's a
yeah,
pretty powerful group there. Okay.
yeah, exactly, right?
Hmm.
Um, so so that's why it's a powerful group, and all those guys are like entertainers. They're all different parts of they excel different parts of their of their industry, right? And that's why, I'm interested to see like who is chosen. But Fahim, I will be very distraught, okay, if they do not pick the Nico Sparks, the Snoop Dogg led group. I'll be very distraught because this is what you want for your league, for your sport, right? You need this. Like you need this. So unless you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see who they choose, but man, we've seen for him, like the Commanders, right? How that team was just acquired, and everyone put in the same exact money for him. So they got to pick who they wanted to own the team. That's a bias, right? There's a bias there, right? You can pick
Right.
who you want to over your team, right? So that's why I'm like, man, I just hope, they understand this is bigger than just hockey. It's about, helping you guys grow within a different incremental revenue stream that you don't have, right? So let's see, right? Let's see what happens. The daughters, so Anna and Olivia Malenik, they're now the owners. So when Eugene Malenik, that's the owner that passed away, it goes to his daughters. And so Forbes said the value is about 800 million USD. And so we don't know if this bid will be announced soon or not, but we know 4 different groups have put in the bid. 4.
Okay.
So
Let's hope that they get it. Do you know when they're making that announcement, Nelly J? Like what
no,
month?
I'm looking
Okay.
now.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, and actually, someone was saying that because they kept adding new people to the bid, they think that's a sign of there's trouble in upkeeping, right? Remember, you bid, you bid, you bid. So they have concerns there. But listen, man, a 800 million USD for a lot of these guys, they can get loans, they can get investors. Like, I think this group can definitely be a part of it. I think even the actor for him, what's his name? The guy who played Green Lantern. Did he have a bid? What's his name? The guy who played Green Lantern.
Yes. Ryan Reynolds. Ryan
Yes.
Reynolds.
I
Right.
think Ryan Reynolds also was a part of it. I remember he was also
right.
part of a bid as well.
Yeah, I heard his bid. He dropped out of his bid, but you're right though. He did have a bid in. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, let's see. But I mean, I hope I guess the daughters are going to choose, and let's see what they choose. And maybe because they're daughters, maybe they're comfortable with us. Everyone loves Snoop Dogg, right? So we'll see how that goes. But anyways,
Right.
guys, like let's send some positive vibes. I do want this team to be like, I hope they win this bid for him, but I also think if they win it, this is so much for the culture. And if they don't win it for him, I hope that it showed the NHL, maybe we can re-add. Remember, like we lost a few teams to the States, right, Faheem? We lost a few teams to the States. And I know Atlanta is a city that had a team a couple times and they lost a team. What if they had a black-led ownership hockey team in Atlanta? You know what I'm saying? So
that's
even if they don't
look.
win it, it just shows that they're we have black owners that are looking to invest in the league. So it's like, hey, if they can't do it in Ottawa, maybe they open a team in Atlanta or another city
Right.
that, you know what I'm saying? So,
well, coming back to the original point, and I agree with everything you said. When I was saying earlier about how it hasn't crossed my mind of having a black-led ownership group, of the two, if we're talking the first time it's going to happen, it's going to be in Ottawa or it's going to be in Atlanta. 100%. If it doesn't happen in Ottawa, it's going to happen in Atlanta. 100%. Atlanta, just the demographics of Atlanta would say that if you're going to have an all black, like Atlanta is a high percentage
Wakanda.
black. yeah, yeah. So yeah, Atlanta definitely would have. It would feel right. Not saying it wouldn't feel right, Ottawa, but definitely Atlanta, Georgia, having in a black all led.
Well, not all led, but just a black led because there's other
black led.
Yeah.
Ownership group that would be fire.
Yeah. So, but I think if I'm Snoop Dogg, I want in Canada because Canada has more hockey fans, right? It's a better investment for them. You know what I'm saying? And shoot, people from Toronto well, no, we're Leafs fans. We ain't going to Ottawa, but there's lots of people that live in Ottawa that might now go to games because they're black and brown folks that live in Ottawa, right? They may want to go to games now because of that, right?
Right.
Or it might inspire black and brown kids to play hockey. You know what I'm saying? to join up to join these camps that are funded by ex NHL players that you know what I mean. Like I know Kevin Week does a camp and other players. So man, like this might make the sport more popular. So either way, you know, hockey is something I think you know, it's a sport that I think we can get invested in. And I'm just always about, you know, trying to own sports teams because sporting teams are big money makers, right? So big up to Donovan Bailey, big up to Snoop Dogg, Sparks, and all the other folks that are in this bid. You know, I hope you guys do win it. So we're gonna just big up to yourself.
Yeah. Enough respect. All right. So now that here, let's close out this episode with That's Absurd.
That's absurd. Faheem, bro, what was absurd this week? What was absurd?
Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. He did not win the MVP award, but he was very close. That's not the absurd part. The absurd part is on everyone who's watched basketball this year on their ballot, if you had 5 choices, if you're not going to pick Nikola Jokic, the first choice, he's got to be top 2. And if he's not top 2, he's got to be top 3. It'd be hard to say that you don't think that Joker and X-Player are in the top 3 for an MVP. The absurd thing is Mark Jackson had a vote this year, and Mark Jackson failed to put Jokic's name on his top 5 ballot this year. Absurd.
So as I look at the ballots, right, at the ballots for the MVP, right, even if he voted for him on the ballot, he wasn't going to win. So let's be clear. Mark Jackson did not deter Jokic from winning an MVP. But what's absurd is like, yeah, like the top 3 players were pretty clear. Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. Top 3. Everyone else, no. But Faheem, what I'm looking at, Faheem, what's crazy to me, right, is that Jason Tatum had 1 third place vote. So is that Mark Jackson? I'm looking at maybe that was him. Because everyone should have had 1, 2, 3. Like, I'm sorry, laughing. But everyone should have had 1, 2, 3 as Embiid, Jokic, or Giannis. So after that, everyone 4th place, that's going to be like everybody else. But for him, I see one person had Jason Tatum in a 3rd place. That has to be him. Do you have like what his ballot was? Do you know what it was?
No, I just know that he had one of the players. I'm pretty sure it was who was the player? I think it was Donovan Mitchell. There's a player that I just felt had a good season, but wasn't MVP good. Or here's the order he went: Joel Embiid. So he at least, well, here's the thing: it's absurd. We're giving the absurd, but he got it right. So Joel Embiid was his first. Giannis was his second. Jason Tatum was his third.
It was him. I knew it.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the 4th, and Donovan Mitchell was his 5th.
Absurd.
Faheem,
I knew it was him because I'm looking at the hold up. Someone voted for Tatum at 3rd. That has to be his ballot. Yeah, 1 person. Yeah. You understand? So anyway, that's absurd.
No, he did own it a few days later. He said it was a mistake on his part. So he's owned it. All I gotta say though is going forward, do you give him the power to vote?
No.
Do we revoke it? We're revoking his voting. Okay.
Okay, no, I'm not gonna revoke it because at least he got 1, 2 right. But it's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna revoke it, but it's just like it's absurd, man. Like, what are we doing, sir? Like those 3 were the top players of the league. Like from last year, I said these are top 3 players before the league started, and now we're here, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm looking at the total votes. Like, you know, someone voted, like, so Faheem, everyone that got a vote, okay, for the MVP, they all made an all NBA team except for 1 player, Faheem. Can you guess who that is? Actually, except for 2 players, actually.
2 players got a vote.
In top 5, but did not make an all NBA team.
But did not make an all NBA team. Oof. Did Devin Booker?
Nope.
Um,
That's a good guess though. Very good guess.
hmm. Well, we got a vote, but didn't make an all NBA team. That's odd.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'll give you one more guess. You got it. One more.
give me a hint. Give me a hint. Just give me a hint.
No, the hint. Okay, they're both guards. They're both
Both
guards.
gu-
Yeah.
both guards.
Mm-hmm.
Guards that didn't
So
oh,
one's in the east and one's in the west.
okay, my bad. I was gonna go with Jalen Brunson.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
One. What's the
One.
other one?
The other one. It was another
He's in the
guard
Western
that had
Conference. He's a guard.
Western Conference guard. What was that guard? Big year, didn't make the cut.
Oh, he had a big year.
Big
It was
year,
an
huh?
IG Live too, damn it, with that big year. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. IG Live. Big Jammer. Jammer.
Yep. He had, yep. So both those guys had they had one vote, a fifth place vote, but they did not make an all NBA team.
Wow.
You gotta question that. Clearly, if they got MVP vote, that means that someone thought they were a top 5 player of the entire league, but they still didn't make it on a all NBA. So
Interesting.
ponder on that. Yes.
Right. So, Nelly J, you know what? Let's put this episode in the books.
That's right, y'all. That's a good rookie show. So as y'all know, we like to do quick shout outs. My shout out is quite simple and easy. The WNBA has begun. The season has started. Breanna Stewart dropped 45, already broke the franchise record in her second game as a New York Liberty. Yeah, and of course the Aces are running through teams already. So I'm excited for this season. I would love to try to catch a Aces versus Liberty game sometime. I don't know if that can happen, but yeah, I'm very excited for the WNBA. The games have been really good, and so if you're not watching, make sure you watch the thing. You understand? I see him. You got it.
Nice. In regards to shout out, did you mention the first NBA team or first NBA game was in Canada? I'm not sure we ever discussed that on our podcast.
Maybe have before. Yeah, I mean that's history. Yeah. The Huskies versus the Knicks. That was the first NBA game ever in the NBA. Mm-hmm.
No. Sorry, my bad. WNBA. Remember they had the WNBA game 2 days.
Oh yeah.
So
you're talking about the WNBA game? Oh yeah.
Right.
So they had the So the preseason game that they had in Toronto. Yeah, it was a vibe.
Did we mention that? I don't think we've mentioned that on our podcast.
Yeah, we did. We have. So when it was announced, we had a topic about it. We spoke about it. With Malika. Yeah. Nah, I mean, it was a great moment. So big up to WNBA. Over 19,000. So is that your shout out?
That's my shout out. Shout out to having a successful first game. And you followed a little bit more, Ray. Do you think Canada gets a team on the way up? After what you saw,
it should. I think they should. I think they gotta have one, at least in Toronto, at least for now.
Okay, and so you're going with you think they
yeah. How about you? Do you think they'll get one after?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they probably will. How it will do, maybe we'll discuss that another time. If they can sustain what they have built for that exhibition game, well, we'll see. Shout out to Hoop Queens also. They have their own all-paid women's league also. Shout out to them also. I just Yep. All right, Nelly J, let's put this episode in the books.
All right, y'all. That's the Good Rookie Show. If you had a good time, enjoyed yourself, please like and subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. Faheem.
We're on all platforms. You know what it is. That's the Good Rookie Show. And we out.
Hey.